So I commend all of you for being here, because those that sit in these rooms will be the ones that create the industry going forward. So I want to tell you a little bit about my daughter and why this is so important. So I know you came to a business seminar so you could learn about how to be in business. But if you don't understand the mechanisms behind the business, then you're in the wrong business, okay? So this is a medicine. Eventually, there's a lot of other ways that you can do this. But for my daughter, she turned 10 this month. So you need to know who you're voting for and what you're voting for. So all of these things up here, Dr. Wilson King just went over. So all of these different cannabinoid profiles, and this is just a few, and then all of the diseases that are underneath there can be helped by this plant. Okay, Senate Bill 1030 just passed, and one of the things for Senate Bill 1030 is what my daughter has. I am thrilled that someone even cares enough about seizures to do that, because for 10 years, nobody did. Nobody wanted to hear. All you heard about was cancer. Nobody ever did anything for seizure research or anything progressing that. So when Senate Bill 1030 passed, well, great. I was there. I went to some of the hearings. However, only one cannabinoid up there is allowed under that bill. What if that's not the one that helps? And basically, only 2 illnesses are allowed under that bill. I guess our legislators are basically saying the rest of you don't matter if your illnesses are not one of the 2. So I have a lot of problems with that, because I think we need more than that. And I thought it was a great first step, but I'm really concerned for the people who that isn't going to help. So here's my daughter's story. So after years and years of trying many, many, many things, we went to what we were told was the last resort. So the last resort is brain surgery, when all other things fail. Nobody mentioned cannabis to me. Nobody told me that in 1947 there was a study by the government that said seizures stop when you take cannabis. Nobody told me that in 2004 the government took out a patent on THC as a neuroprotectant. No one said any of that to me. So we went to brain surgery. So after a series of brain surgeries and hospitalizations, she actually started to recover, although the surgery was a failure. She seized the day she came out. But she started to recover, and she looked pretty good. And then they said, let's try one more medicine, because that's what we do. Let's try another drug. And that's what she looked after they gave her another medicine. So this is 9 months after, and so last year we regressed very rapidly. And increased seizures, she stopped eating, drinking, peeing, pooping, and basic bodily functions all went out the window. And everything was gone. And that's what she looked like last Christmas. And so I had no other options, and so basically, the first 9 years of her life, we tried 16 different drugs, totaling 1,000 side effects, FDA-approved side effects that she was exposed to. She's experienced multiple seizure types. I don't even want to go into them all. She's tried 3 different diets. We've had a vagal nerve stimulator, which is a computer chip with some wires that's supposed to reroute things. We've been to 6 neurologists in 6 different states. We've been to 3 countries for stem cells. This actually worked, but I can't go to China every time I need to re-up on the stem cells. Then we went to 3 brain surgeries. Now we have a feeding tube. We had to have hip surgery because the brain surgery caused her hips to pop out. We've had 20 hospitalizations in 9 years. And she's had to relearn to crawl and walk 5 times, and she's not able to do either right now. The last time I went to the neurologist, I was told that it's time to believe in God. There's nothing left we can do for you. So my daughter became a cannabis patient. And this is what she looks like after 10 days on cannabis, after 20 days, and after 30 days. She sat up. She started to eat again. She started to have her bodily functions again, and things were going pretty well. This is what she looked like after 6 months on cannabis. Now, I don't need to come in here and say, I could just go home and do what I'm doing. But I come to these rooms, and I come for a reason, because this is not enough. It's not enough to just say I gave her something and she's better, because this is multiple trials and strains and trying a lot of things. And so what I do is I have a lot of good and bad days. She has a lot of good and bad days. Her good and bad days are the same as mine. So we treat her under something called medical necessity, which really is only an affirmative defense if somebody arrests me. It's not a law, it's not structured. It's basically me saying, I'm not going to let my child die and I can't move. Because the only difference between my child and Charlotte Figge is where we live, in the state that we live in, and that is wrong. I shouldn't have to move to another state to save my child, and neither should any of you. So we have good and bad days. And the reason why we need the vote, and the vote appropriately, is because the people who create the legislation and the rulemaking are how we're going to all operate in this business. It's how my daughter will get better, and your businesses will flourish, and other people will be saved. And the reason we have good and bad days is because we have no testing here. We don't have biochemists creating compounds for me. I can't go to the Walgreens of cannabis and say, what I gave her yesterday stopped working and I need to supplement it with something else. I can't do that. We don't have that here. And that's what rulemaking does. The amendment doesn't do that. The amendment lays out the groundwork. The rulemaking is what's going to give us those options. And you need to know who you're voting for so that the people in office are going to create the proper rulemaking structure for us to be in business. This is not I voted for Amendment 2, woo-hoo, I'll plant seeds tomorrow and we're all in business. It will not work that way. You heard the speakers so far talk about this. So on her birthday, she had a good day. 2 days later, she looked like that. This is why we have to have structure, okay? We have to have structure. So all of the things in here, we've tried almost all of those. And she does CBD and THCA, and we use CBN to take care of all of her spasticity. She was like this. We put CBN on her arm, and it went like that within a day. And she can put braces on. So these things are all important, and you have to have testing, and you have to have all of the things that are going to come out of legislation and proper rulemaking. So I want to basically just impart on you the importance. So several months ago, I met a candidate, and I actually met an attorney general candidate in these rooms. Every time I go to Tallahassee and I sit in the rulemaking hearings and I listen to them argue, basically, Bill Wolsifer is there at every one of those hearings. And he gets up and he talks about proper rulemaking. The Attorney General in our state oversees rulemaking. You need to know who you're voting for. We already know Pam Bondi has no interest in any of this moving forward. Absolutely none. She's come right out and told us. We have to vote these people out if you want to have a chance at this business, and my daughter wants to have a chance at her life. So I encourage you to read who stands for what. Know what the candidates stand for, and I don't care whether you want to grow it, test it, extract it, smoke it, take it, sell it, or whatever. Know who you're voting for and what the end result is going to be. So when you go to the polls in November, I want you to think of my daughter Christina. Because when you vote, you're voting for her life and your business. Thank you.